Hi, I'm Dr. Lori. Thanks for your videos. I'm going to teach you how to buy and sell in Thrift. All the values are based on actual sales records. Come on, let's get started.
Hi, Dr. Lori. This is Donna. I am presenting today what I think is a fuddling cup. I purchased it at a estate sale about a month ago, and here is the mark, which I hope you can see.
Hi, Donna. Thanks for sending in your video. You know, when I saw your video of what are called fuddling or puzzle cups, I thought, okay, here's a ceramist who's bored. People are like, well, what do you mean, Lori? Well, basically, when people who are skilled at making ceramics are starting to do things like puzzle cups, you know that they've either had a lot of success in whatever they're known for, right? Or they, in fact, are thinking, oh, let's try something new and different to see if I can achieve it. So this particular set is a pretty typical set. What I also saw when I first looked at it, people always ask me, you know, what do you see? When I first looked at it was the brightness of the clay. Really, really white, really nice glaze, no crazing. You know, that's that crackle pattern that comes from, you know, transfer of heat, temperature and humidity changes, that kind of thing. So none of that. So really, really fresh, well executed, really good materials. That's the first thing I saw. And then I'm starting to say, okay, well, it's an oddity piece. And people like oddities, right? They, oh, it's unique, it's unusual, no one's ever seen them. Well, they've seen these all the way back to the ancient Asians. So it's not a new type of thing. Those particular puzzle cups, what they're trying to do is have you drink out of one of the cups, not have all the liquid from the other cup spill on you. So it's relatively a game. It's kind of hard to do, but it goes all the way back to the ancient world. I've seen my fair share of oddities, you know, things like bottom-filled, you know, Chinese cups, teapots that are filled from the bottom that don't even have a way to actually fill it from the top with no lid, no opening from the top. You know, I've seen all different types of oddities over the years. And some of the things are puzzles, in fact, you know, those puzzle boxes that you have to get it in the right way, all that kind of stuff. So your particular piece is really quite nice, but it's new, okay? So it doesn't date back very, very long, probably dates to about the middle part of the 1900s, and value on it, it's surprising, about $450, even for a relatively new set of fuddling or puzzle cups. Thanks for the video.
Hi, Dr. Lori, reaching out to you from the Eugene, Springfield, Oregon area, looking at this beautiful pen and ink by Ray Irely. Let me give you a close-up. There he is, 1956. From my dad's house, probably came from Mom's parents, who were collectors of some beautiful art pieces that have been since sold, but wondering how to tell if this is a real pen and ink, original or not. It's lovely. Thank you for your time. Be well, be safe. Love to you and yours. Cheers.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks a lot for your video. I appreciate that. Your Ray Irely piece is relatively interesting, and it actually asks a lot of questions that a lot of people ask of me. How do you tell a drawing from a print? So you have the artist's signature, you noted that, you know who the artist is, it came in your family, you've had it for a while, there's a date on it as well, and some people have a hard time telling the difference between a pen and ink drawing and in fact an etching, which is printed onto paper. So when it's black and white, most people have to really have a little bit of an interest in art to appreciate something that's monochromatic or only black and white or varied colors. Most people like to get bright colors, you know, and something that, you've heard it, you know, something that matches the couch kind of thing. So when looking at a piece like this, you can see the mastery that this artist has. This artist really knows what he's doing. And a couple of things I want you to look at with respect to this piece. First of all, don't look so much at the boats and the pier and such and the water. Look at the sky, and you can tell that your piece is an etching. It's a print and not a pen and ink drawing. So it's not directly from the artist's hand, which would make the value higher. It's in fact a print, and there's more than one of them out there. If you look at the stippling, if you look at the sky, basically, you can see the stippling or this repeated carving into that plate, and then it's inked, and then it's pressed onto a piece of paper. An artist in pen and ink is not going to take all of that time to do all those individual lines. That's one of the ways to tell that you have a print versus a drawing. Your particular piece is worth just about $400, and yes, it's a print. It's not an original for $400. His originals, he lives from about the latter part of the 1800s until about 1980. And his work, he lives through much of the 20th century. It's very characteristic of realism in the 20th century. And that work worth about $400. A very nice example of that artist's work. Thanks again.
I inherited this Nippon vase in 1974 from a lady in Kenilworth, Illinois, who was born in 1897. Unfortunately, she made it into a lamp, and so it has a hole for the lamp cord in the bottom and also a small chip marked Nippon. But otherwise, I think it's in excellent condition.
Hi, Nancy. How are you doing? Thanks very much for your video. You know, when you were twirling your vase on that kind of Lazy Susan stand, you know, I saw your hands, and they reminded me of my mom's hands because she wore purple a lot. I saw your purple sleeve and the hand, and it was funny because you just lovingly kind of kept it rolling back and forth so I could see it all the way around. So thanks for doing that, going the extra mile. A couple of things about your piece. Your piece is a piece of Nippon, which indicates that it's made in Japan, right? In the early part of the 1900s or the late 1800s. The thing about all of this is somebody decided, of course, to drill a hole through the middle, right through the bottom, so they can put a wire in so they can make a lamp. You know, I can't tell you how many of these nice, this is called a hall or a court vase, large vases tall for the floor that can be pretty significant, big lamp made into lamps. I can't tell you how many of those vases are made into lamps. Everybody has to have something functional. It's really an American thing. And it's a thing in the early 1900s because we have the advent of electricity that everyone says, ooh, we want it to be a lamp, because it's really boring if it's just a beautiful, you know, piece of Japanese figural ceramic. We just forget that. You also have a lot of interesting symbols on it. You have the chrysanthemum, which is known for longevity, right? And you also have, of course, some other symbols on it that relate to happiness and other things like the cranes, which relate to happiness. So the color is really indicative of the early 1900s. We're seeing brighter colors in the ceramics there, but the quality is not spectacular. And now with the big hole in the middle, it's really not spectacular. So I'm sorry for the bad news. Value on your piece, about $200. It is, of course, made in Japan. And again, when you see the Nippon mark, you'll see it in different ways in that early 1900s period. Thanks again, Nancy. Take care of your hands.
Hi, Dr. Laurie. Aloha. My name is John Min. I'm hailing all the way from Hawaii, and I was given this old, rare poi pounder, given to my uncle who was 97. This is given to me several years ago before he passed, and is known to be probably one of the rarest, if not the rarest, that's in fully intact, in perfect condition.
Aloha, John. Aloha from Hawaii. Thank you for your video. You know, your video was terrific because I was really impressed that you gave me an instructional video while you were asking me for information. I thought that was great. So what you showed me, and by the way, I like the Hawaiian shirt. What you showed me was, in fact, a poi pounder. Made of basalt, basically a poi pounder. And this particular type of rock, of course, well known to where you live, to the islands. It dates to about the 19th century, and what was great was the way in which you showed that little video of mine. Okay, you ignored all of the instructions, about 30 seconds, but you know, I'm gonna let that go. You showed the instructions about how poi is actually made, how you get it from the plant, how you pound it down, how you stretch it, you add water, you mix it, you eat it with 2 fingers, the whole deal. It kind of reminded me of the Brady Bunch when they went to Hawaii. Do you remember that episode? Well, you know, I'm a kid of the 70s. What can I tell you? Anyway, so basically what you have is a pretty interesting piece. And you probably are aware of that it's pretty interesting and that it's pretty old. It is indeed an antique, more than 100 years old. And that particular piece is really quite nice. I mean, you know, things that you pound with, things like, you know, mortise and pestles that people will bring. But your particular piece has a lot of interest in the marketplace. So much interest that pieces like yours typically sell for about $2,000. Thanks for your video. I hope you appreciate the appraisal.
Hi, Dr. Laurie. My name is Daniel, and I am from New York. And I would like you to appraise this painting, which is an oil on canvas, and it is 40 by 30.
Hi, Daniel. Thanks for sending in your video. you know, everybody asks me, what do I see when I look at an object? You know, what's going through my mind? And, you know, not to be critical, but you know I'm going to be critical. My initial thoughts was, oh, kind of reminds me of Renoir's the ball at the Moulin de la Galette. So, you know, that very, very famous Impressionist paintings of all those people outside in Montmartre in Paris, you know, hanging around, and having a drink and talking. And, of course, 1876 was when that painting was painted. So I'm looking at your painting and I'm thinking to myself, all right, so they're trying to get this idea of the outdoor group portrait. All right. But when you look at the painting, and this is what I want you guys to do, I want you to really look at the painting. Yes, you know, you're all like, oh, I want to look at the back, and Dr. Lori taught me about the, you know, about the nails and the staples, but I really want you to look at the painting. Look at the front. Forget about signatures and look at the front. I want you to look at the painting, and I want you to look at it from upper left to lower right. You're like you're reading a book all the way across. Look at the painting. If you look at this painting, the first thing that draws your eye is that woman sitting in that chair. Go right to that woman sitting in the chair. She's sitting in the chair, she's looking out over here, and she's got her hand kind of on this side. Well, if you look at the hand that she has sort of holding this other chair next to her, her thumb is in the wrong place. It should be this hand. Do you see that? So I'm sitting there saying, okay, this person has some skills and some training, but they're not looking long enough at their subject to actually capture that subject properly. You know, I'm sorry, the thumb on the wrong side is a big mistake. Now, granted, I can't paint you a stick figure. I can't draw, I can't paint, it's not my background. But basically, if you're going to do this and you're put this whole big painting together with all these different figures, you really have to look at what the subject should look like, right? So you'll notice there's one man in the middle and his face is almost photographic. It's just so representational, so realistic. It's so well done. And then the other areas of the painting are really kind of impressionistic, even pointillist, you know, like little dots toward the background of the painting. All of these things start to become a problem for the painting. So when you look at it, first of all, it's big. You said it was 30 by 40, so it's a pretty good sized painting. It's got a good looking frame on it. But when you start to scrutinize the actual figures, the composition, the linearity, the color, the palette, there's a lot going on. So that tends to show an expert like me, well, you know what, they're trying too hard to do too many different things. And you're starting to look at style, different styles together, and that's problematic. Value on your painting, I'd put about $250 on it, about $100 for the painting and about $150 for the frame. Its size is impressive. It's probably a relatively contemporary painting, not all that old, and someone's trying very hard to do something. So sometimes, you know, when you're critical, you tend to actually get a little bit more information about what you should be doing with those oil on canvas. What do I like about it? It's not all bad news. What I like about it is I like the composition, peaks and valleys, lots of different things happening at once. I also like the fact that it's on good materials. You're using oil on canvas, right? It's not a mechanical reproduction. It's not an oleograph print that looks like a painting. But for the most part, you really have to get that quality and that artistry, mastering the artistry down pat. Thanks though, Daniel. I appreciate you sending it in.
Hey, Dr. Lori. This is Lance from Houston. And this is what I have. So I got this from an estate sale a few weeks ago. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Looks like some kind of lidded trinket dish, metal. Does have the lion head on there. Inside. With no markings.
Hi, Lance. Dr. Lori here. I looked at your piece and you know, I like Houston where you are a lot more than I like your piece. Oh no, Dr. Lori, you're killing me. Yeah, I know. Well, basically, your particular piece is a reproduction. It's really trying to look like an old piece. So the minute you pick it up and you feel the metal, I hope you would start to learn that that particular piece you should have left wherever you had it. So basically what you have is you have a piece of metal that's been sprayed with a paint, with a pigment, that is trying to make it look older. It's trying to make it look like it has been out in weather for a long time. So unfortunately, that piece dates to about the 1950s, the 1960s, and it's trying to look back at classical, you know, ancient Rome, ancient Greece kinds of pieces from the classical time period. Value on your piece, about 40 bucks. Hopefully, you didn't pay too much for it.
Hi, Dr. Lori. This is Dale Sheehan in Birmingham, Alabama. I bought this lithograph at the thrift store for $10. It's by a famous Bolivian artist called Gracia Rodo Bullinger. It's signed and dated 1981, and the name of the piece is Opus 2. It's 26.5 by 21.5, and framed is 33.5 by 28.5. I hope to see it on your YouTube channel, and I'd like to invite you to come to Birmingham for your Antiques Roadshow. Thank you.
Hi, Dale and Ed. This was a group project. You folks were funny. From Birmingham, Alabama, and I cracked up because I was like, here come the Southerners. I got an invitation to come to Birmingham. Everybody's nice. You memorized all the measurements of your pieces. You memorized the mat measurement. You memorized the frame measurement. You told me what you knew about the artist Boulanger. You did all kinds of things that just made me laugh because as a stoic New Englander, I'm not inviting you to my house, right? I'm not going to memorize the measurements. I'm probably going to get out a measuring stick or, a ruler or a measuring tape and measure it once you asked me that question. You had everything prepared, everything ready for me, just like Southern hospitality. So thank you very much. I also thought it was great that Ed was, of course, doing the audio video taping, and then you were presenting. The whole thing was great to me. It was good to see you both. So I hope you like this piece. This piece is a hand-colored lithograph. Now, I talk about prints a lot, and I tell you about prints. Be aware and be careful of prints. This print's from 1981. It's marked right on it. It's very simple to do. You can actually search for this pretty easily and come up with this artist because they created a lot of artwork. Very, very prolific artists. So you're going to see a lot of it. And when an artist is prolific, it's not always that great because value goes down because there's so many out there in the market. What's very good about this piece, this particular piece, is of the artist's mature style. When you say this artist's name, everybody in their mind's eye who knows art says, oh yeah, it should look like this. Round faces, usually playing musical instruments. That's what most of the pieces look like. Your particular colored lithograph from 1981 is worth about $250. Thank you very much for making me smile from Alabama. Big thanks from Dr. Lori. I appreciate you sending in your videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just ring the bell. There are more videos to come.